If you've just joined us, welcome to it. This is African Diaries, and it's time for us to get into our conversation. Now, across Africa, the breadwinner carries a heavy burden. The breadwinner's identity is often tied to their ability to provide. And when jobs are scarce, land is out of reach, and credit is blocked, that burden becomes unbearable. Studies from South Africa to Nigeria show a clear pattern. When the breadwinner cannot provide, shame and stress too often spill over into gender-based violence at home. To help us unpack this, we are joined by Busie Mzandolo, a registered clinical social worker, mental health therapist, and advocate for GBV awareness. Busie, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to African Diaries.
Thank you so much for having me, and interesting topic you have there.
Absolutely, because I don't think this. Listen, if I'm to be extremely honest, we are
Yeah.
cognizant of the end result, the end product when it comes to GBV, the
Yeah.
verbal, emotional, physical, and all kinds of other abuses. But we don't really necessarily have an opportunity to dig deep into what happens before that. And I think that this
Yeah.
conversation gives us an opportunity to do so. Now, Busie, from your perspective as a therapist, how does unemployment and the lack of income affect breadwinners and their sense of dignity as an African?
So, this topic, I love it. Why? Because we are ignorant of it. First of all, it has to do with emotions. It has to do with how you feel, how you see yourself, how you view yourself, and also how the community views you and how the spaces you are within views you as a person. Be it you are the breadwinner, be it you are somebody who's supposed to be employed at a particular age and you're not. And now you end up being consumed in the spaces where we are expected, or you are expected to be able to afford, or to be able to pay bills, or to be able to take care of your family. And now there's emotions, there is we call it your emotional intelligence, we call it your ego, or your super ego, or your alter ego. Now, when you are in a position where you cannot be able to provide, or to support, or to do the usual, if you are a man in the family, now your wife has to take care of the whole family. So it affects your emotions, as I've said first, and then it affects how the society views you. Then it triggers your ego, where then it triggers your super ego. Then your alter ego is the one that overreacts or overacts, or ends up being the justification of a behavior. So there's a lot of things that we always look at when it comes to finances and GBV, when it comes to being a breadwinner, being somebody that is supposed to provide. There is how you view yourself. Am I good enough? Am I man enough? Am I woman enough? Am I able to support my family? Or am I a failure? And what is your ego saying in that space? Am I able to wait up until somebody takes care of me, up until I'm okay? Or do I want to make means of acting, and I cannot accept what the society says, or what the people says, or what the family says? It depends on the spaces that people are in, but it all has to do with emotions, our egos, super egos, and our alter egos.
I want us to break down the three egos. Because, listen, Busie, for the first time in my life, I'm hearing this. Okay, I didn't know that we
Yeah.
had a super ego. I mean, we do
Yeah.
hear of alter egos, but we never really get the full sense because we're out here busy following Beyonce. So please, if you could break down the different kinds of egos and what they stand for.
Yeah. So the ego that we all know, I think everybody knows that one. It's my stature. I know myself. I'm strong. I'm capable. That's my ego. I will not let anybody else tell me what not to do when. This is me. This is my position. And then we've got the super egos. The super ego is the internal ego, the one that says you are not allowed not to be able to do the things that you're supposed to be doing. So it's bigger than the ego that you have, which is the ordinary ego, as any human being has. Everybody has got egos. Everybody feels like they're in control of themselves. They can push themselves to wherever they want to go. And then the super ego is the one that overpowers that mentality of saying, I am who I am. It says you are now not allowed to allow yourself to be down. Now you cannot. That's the one that's going to say, it does not matter whatever it takes. You're going to make sure that you uplift yourself, whether be it shoot a man, just to put it out there, but I'm not saying literally shoot a man, but put somebody else down so that you are on top of your game. Then that's the super ego. Then the alter ego is the one that is now supported or inspired by the society or by the community, what people view of you, what people see of you, what people say of you, what I'll use a presidential or someone in the presidential space or somebody in the higher powers. We see them as these superiors, these people that are big, these people that are in big spaces. So now there's an alter ego that is now influenced by how people view you and what people see on you and what people have said on you to say you are so powerful. So it means now my alter ego is now contributed by the community, by the society, by my church, by my family, because of the stature that I have in my family or in my household. I'm that one that is known to be the breadwinner. So my alter ego is contributed by the outer things. Then the super one, it says I'm going to go beyond and above Busie, who has an ego already. Then the ego that we all know is just ukuzithanda nje, to say not in my name, not in my name.
Busi, what's really interesting is I'm rather curious to gauge how these present themselves in men and women, right? And
Yeah.
I'm asking this question because prior to quite a bit that's happened, in actual fact, dare I say, around the 1920s, when we saw the jazz age manifest in the States and this sort of trickled across the globe, there was a sense of pride that men would wear as providers. Yes, they would then carry that upon themselves. And in the African context, it was a bit different. However, the train of thinking was still the same, that as a man, I stand as the head. I provide, I work, you stay at home as my counterpart. And so we fast forward into 2025 and women provide, right?
Yeah. Yes.
But I don't think that the headspace is different. And I say this because I've noticed if a woman is struggling to provide, I don't, and listen, I could be absolutely wrong. I don't think she's as beat down as a man is when he struggles to provide.
Yes. So remember, with women now, there's not too much of the expectation than the man. There is not too much of the societal expectation to say a woman must be able to provide. A woman should be able to take care of a family. A woman is expected, if you go in a restaurant, there's not a cashier, or what we call them, the ladies that assist. They'll bring the invoice, or they'll bring your slip to pay. They won't give to the woman, they'll give it to the man. So 99% of the time, everything is on the men's side. When it comes to women, for us, it's a matter of independence. It's a matter of being able to. It's a matter of protection. It's a matter of safety. It's a matter of I'm not going to end up being in the topic of today, being in the gender-based violence space because I'm unable to. But when it comes to a man, it's different. The mindset still says, if my woman is taking care of me, then it means my ego is crushed. It means my super ego is crushed. It means my alter ego is crushed, because now the community will see me not as a man that is not able to provide for the family. I'm not good enough. I'm not fulfilling what I'm supposed to do as a man. As much as the woman won't say you're not fit enough, it's just something that is in them. So when it comes to us, we're not expected to do anything. We're just doing it because times have changed. We're just doing it because we've seen how men can bully you financially. We can see how men can abuse you financially. We can see how men can use the power of finances to control us. So therefore, we are able to make this extra income. Hence, a man will feel intimidated sometimes, not all the time, by a woman that is able to provide and support, because the super ego is saying, I'm expected, and therefore I cannot allow myself to be crushed by this woman who looks like she's got ego because now she has it all. because that's what they say when we have everything. You've got a very egoistic chemistry, or whatever they would call us.
The voice there of Busie Mzandolo joining us this evening, a registered clinical social worker, mental health therapist, and advocate for GBV awareness. Today we discuss all things finances, or the lack thereof, and how this further sets the scourge of GBV across the continent and the globe at large. Send through your questions. Find us on WhatsApp +27 6340 69126. Busie, quite a bit that you made mention of there, and just the disparities in terms of expectations from society. I want to understand, do we always respond in these three tiers of the egos? And I mean, we started off by just understanding ego, which sort of depicts your stature, your love for self, and then the super ego, that is the internal ego that will set the limits. One might think of them as pride, and the very last being your alter ego, that's inspired by your society. Do we always respond from all three? What's the best practice when it comes to this ego situation?
So I think it's automated, if I can put it that way. I don't think one says, I'm now having a super ego, or I'm now in a space where my alter ego has kicked in. I think a situation or a point of a downfall in somebody's life, because remember, we all have plans for our life. We all have got these big goals that we want to achieve. We all have got these visions that we have set for ourselves, be it a man and a woman. And I always say, when you get into a relationship or get married, there's a vision and a big goal that you want to achieve. And then when that vision is not coming into action, then one of these egos is going to come in. A friend of yours can say, why does it look like you're being bullied by your wife? Because she's now paying the bills, she's now taking care of the car, she's now taking care of the kids, and then hence now the society will be an influence into me tapping into the super ego, or the alter ego that is coming out. But it's not something that one can say, I'm currently sitting on this kind of an ego right now. It's triggered by the situations that we are in. Even us as women, I remember when I left the job at some point, I was like, oh, no. I've got an ego, but now my inner ego says, Sissy, you've studied, you graduated, you've worked so hard for you to sit and be treated as if you're not somebody who's supposed to be here. So my super ego was now getting out of control. And in that point, when I thought about it, I didn't think that I would act this way, but the situation pushed me to go beyond and above the ego that I have as a person, to tap into the super ego because of the space that I was in. So we don't really sit and know which one or which ego comes, but you are able to pick it up if you learn more about yourself. If you understand yourself better, to say, I'm not a person with pride, but the situation that I'm in currently has pushed me to activate a super ego in me, or an alter ego on me. And therefore, is it good, contributing to the people around me, or is it bad, meaning it's destroying the people around me, or affecting my kids, or affecting my partner, or affecting my colleagues? How is it affecting other people, the way my ego has exploded? So it happens.
I also want to understand the correlation of responses from oneself against egos. I can only imagine that the feeling of helplessness would come from an alter ego state where society is saying that, but these are your titles, yet you're not measuring up to it. Whereas an internal ego might lead to the abuse of substance, where you are saying to yourself, I'm not going to go through 1, 2, 3. So I will use some form of recreational drug to keep me in a state where I am of the belief I'm not going through what I'm going through. What are some of the other manifestations and the egos that respond to those manifestations?
So one that's big is the anger, where now the anger becomes, you're not only angry at yourself, you are angry at the people around you, you are angry at the circumstances around you, you are angry at God, you are angry at opportunities, you are literally angry at anything that you feel might be blocking your progress to something, um, whatever project or whatever space you are in or whatever relationship you are in. So there's that anger. After anger, there's that resentment that comes with it, because now your life looks like it's turning in a direction where you never thought it would go. And now you end up feeling like the world is against you. You feel like the people are against you. You feel like the community is against you. You even feel like, why did I even do the course that I did? Why did I even do the profession that I did? Why am I in the space that I'm in? So now you become so angry with yourself. One, the age, you look at your age. Two, you look at the age mates, the people around you. Three, you look at you envy what other people have, because you feel like I could have, I should have, I must have. And now all these things are not coming together. So these two, the enviness and the anger, I think those are the other contributing factors when it comes to these egos that we have. They add. Yes, drinking is there. Yes, attitude, treating people without being kind or being very selfish. But that anger and that enviness and that resentment, these three, they are the biggest chunk. I think they are the leading into violence, because now when you're angry at something, it means whoever says something, I'm gonna act, I'm gonna move, I'm gonna do something because I want to feel.
Yeah. And Busie, just before we get into our break, I want to find out how this then sort of pours out on those around. And I'm saying this because more often than not, we focus on the relationship, man and woman, but we
Yeah,
don't consider kids. We don't consider colleagues. We don't
yeah,
consider the other environments that are affected by this person whose ego states have been bruised, broken, and battered.
mm,
And so, just to
yeah.
find out from you,
Oh, yeah,
I just want to understand and gauge how these pour out into various spaces. You spoke about anger, you spoke about resentment, you spoke about comparison. But sometimes this person isn't displaying any of those signs. Yes, they're happening inside you, right? But
yeah.
you're brewing, you're bubbling under. So I want us to highlight tell signs. What are the tail signs that, or the tell signs that, listen, I think this friend of mine, this spouse of mine, this brother of mine, this colleague of mine needs help?
So the tail signs that I can share with the viewers and the listeners is that, first of all, you meet a character. When you meet somebody, you meet a character. um, when a child meets a father, they meet a character and they love the character. They love how the person speaks, how the person reacts, how the person moves, how the person loves, and how the person hugs and performs around them. That's a character. So we meet a character. And now the character is what we need to observe. If somebody's character switches drastically so from being that kind, loving, caring person to somebody who's more quiet, more silent, more um, irritated, very irritated about small things. Please pick up that thing for me. Oh, why are you telling me what to do? Please help me with my car. Why are you telling me what to do? Why are you giving me instructions? Why do I feel like my life is surrounded by people telling me what to do? So once somebody starts acting like that, then we can pick up to say the character has moved from being the happy person. Yes, we can be unhappy because we've got things that are not treating us well. It's normal to be an unhappy person, to be angry, to be sad, and all of that. But then there's a character and a personality that is attached to a person. So now that character moves and changes the personality of the person, meaning now I'm not that friendly Busie that I was. I am literally bored at each and every conversation that has to do with either money, that has to do with either success, that has to do with either progress, that has to do with either writing a book or doing your business or whatever it may be. Now, that character changes, the personality is affected. Immediately, if you know somebody, you love somebody, and that person is in your space, you'll be able to pick it up without even them going to therapy, because it means that they have changed and moved from who they used to be. They're not as kind as they were, they're not as happy as they were, they're more triggered by the smallest conversations that you can have. It means now there's an internal conversation that person is having with themselves, whether it be judgment, whether it be it crucifying themselves, whether it be it putting themselves in the hole and feel like they can't come out of it. Then that is when we need to say, you need to speak to somebody. You need to check in because you're losing yourself.
The voice of registered clinical social worker, mental health therapist, and advocate for GBV awareness. This is Busie Mzandolo joining us this evening. Busie, we take a quick breather. When we get back, we discuss solutions because we don't want to just talk about the problem, right? Solutions are important too.
Africa Speaks on African Diaries with Shayla Ndukumana.